Ready?
I don't know, I have one more minute. So.
Whatever. Okay, here's my stuff here. Okay.
Call the community safety meeting to order.
Okay.
It's for Tuesday, February 14th at 4 o'clock. Minutes, motion to adopt the minutes of the meeting of the Community Safety Committee on January 17th, 2023. Any errors or omissions? Move,
Adoption.
second. All in favor? Thank you. Next committee meeting date is March 14th, 2023 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. Item number 1, Community Safety Animal Protection Services Monthly Activity Report, December 2022 and year in review.
Nothing to add. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Sure, yes, no, maybe. Councillor Hobbs? No, what am I doing wrong?
I'm waiting for red.
Is it red?
Red means go, yes. Thank you. Through the chair, thank you once again for the report. Lots of information there. Just one quick question on page 28 with the wildlife control being quite high. I just wondered, what kind of wildlife are we actually talking about there? To me, I tend to think it's coyotes or something like that, but.
No. Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, wildlife in the report references fledgling baby birds, sick birds. So there was a lot of calls during the fledgling season when the birds fall out of the nests or injured birds.
Okay, well, I didn't get it. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Anybody else?
With the recommendation.
And I just want to say thank you for your help today with, there was a gentleman with a dog off leash in the baseball diamond at Steveston Community Park, which is oddly right next to 2 off-leash dog parks, one for small dogs and one for large dogs. So the argument that he's got a large dog and he's afraid of the small dogs would have been moot. But Ms. Lloyd staff is going to be putting up some more signage to make it more clear and right at the entrance to the baseball diamond, because we are moving into baseball season and we certainly wouldn't want any kids
Yes,
slipping
to the chair,
in
yes.
dog excrement or anything else. So.
The signage will be up by end of week.
Thank you. And
You're
when
welcome.
people do see those, there's an email that they report it to, is there? Or is there also a phone number to contact?
There's also a phone number. It's 604-233-6533.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh, we got more questions. Councillor Heed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very disturbing report in the paper regarding the Canadian snow geese. Run over 16 to 18 on Blundell. I know the RCMP we're looking at initially, but do we have the SPCA that's taken over that investigation?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, the RCMP are working jointly with the BCSPCA Cruelty Division on that case.
Have we had this before in Richmond? I know they go across the road, and usually, thankfully, people are patient and they just wait, but that was atrocious.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, not to my recollection has there been an incident like that, but I would refer that to the RCMP if there has been.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Galanders?
Through the chair, just a quick question. Is the difference between dog at large and stray dog that a dog at large is a dog with an owner that's lost and a stray dog doesn't have an owner?
Through the chair to Councillor Gillanders, that is correct.
Thank you. I was just curious.
Thank you. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Business license activity report.
To the chair, I have nothing to add, and I'm open to questions.
Councillor Day?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. For the report, I was looking at page CS 33, and it says that the business licenses are up to 16,288, which really is an improvement. Is it safe to say that we're out of COVID when it comes to the normal amount of business licenses that we're issuing?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, it appears that business is recovering somewhat from the pandemic, and it is an encouraging sign.
Excellent, that's good to hear. Thank you very much.
Councillor Heed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Referring to the ride hauling enforcement, Mr. Corrado, do our bylaw people work in conjunction with the RCMP, or do we take that separately is my first question. The second one relates to how prevalent is this issue still in Richmond?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, the lead investigative agency is the passenger, to Councillor Heed.
That's all right.
The
I
lead-
don't look like him, though. Just so you know.
My apologies. The lead agency is the passenger transportation branch, but bylaw staff, in this case business license staff, work in conjunction with the PTB along with a police force of jurisdiction. So this is typically the RCMP, but it can also be transit police as well. And we have seen a significant amount of successful operations occurring across the Lower Mainland, and staff at the city are working in conjunction with the PTB to bring in other cities to coordinate sort of operational responses and best practices.
And are we deterring this activity?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, there is an impact in terms of deterrence. It is difficult to gauge the scale of the problem, given that a lot of the ability to operate these illegal ride hails occurs through technology that can often be offshore. But we've definitely seen an increase in enforcement, and that does have an impact. Staff are working with government to increase the penalties. So PTB has been successful in many cases in seizing the vehicle, and we are exploring options with our provincial partners to increase penalties, such as potentially seizing licenses, and that requires coordination with different levels of government. But we've had some success, and there is some appetite for that.
Thank you.
Councillor Hobbs?
Thank you, through the chair. Well, that was one of the questions, actually, so I'm glad to hear that it's having impact, because the enforcement, the number of enforcement actions has been good and the fines have been good. And I'd recommend if we could get seizure for 7 days of cars, even without an increase in fines, seizing cars, that's a big deterrence for people. Just one other question on the business license activity. I think Councillor Day just kind of referred to it, the uptake in business licenses. And I was just curious, is that across the board, or is it, I know some restaurants are having a tough time right now. So is there a particular business that's an uptake, or is it pretty much distributed across the board?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, my understanding is that it is more evenly distributed, but with the new My Business platform, we have the ability to do more detailed analysis. So I can look at where the bulk of that increase has been, if it is a sectoral basis, and then get back to you on that.
Yeah, no rush, but thank you.
Councillor Wolf?
Yes, I'm aware this is year in review, and I know the incident that just recently happened where the truck had the back up and it hit the overpass, and they're going to look into fines. I was just curious, in this report, I've been told that the vehicle was licensed to a business here in Richmond, and so would that show up under the table of business licenses, perhaps as a valid license? It would be one of the 13,000 that we have. And could that type of action lead to it being suspended? So I'm just kind of curious. I know the provincial government is looking at heavier fines for overheight vehicles hitting overpasses. But is there any civic mechanism to deter that?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I believe that investigation is ongoing. So if there is potentially some sort of nexus to gross negligence or criminality, then there could be an ability for staff to bring it to council and make that determination regarding suspension, even termination of a business license. At this stage, it's really difficult to comment as this is still under investigation.
Okay, just trying to see where it fits in here. Thanks.
Anyone else? There's a motion. Do I have a mover? Second? All in favor? Property use and parking enforcement activity, Mr. Corrado?
To the chair, I have nothing further to add, and I'm open to questions.
Yes, we're on number 3. Councillor Galanders?
Thank you, through the chair. I have a question about the soil bylaw enforcement on CS 39. The number of tickets issued, 60. Do you know how many different properties that was for?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, is predominantly one property that has had some compliance issues, and we can discuss perhaps in close maybe some additional steps that might be occurring on that particular file.
Okay, I actually talked to somebody about that. They just said we didn't have to be enclosed to discuss that, but, so that's fine. I don't need to get into details about that property. So if that's the one that I'm aware of, they're being fined every day. So that would be 30 of them, of the 60?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, it's per investigation, per inspection, and per identification of a violation, then a fine ensues, but it's not per day.
Okay, so of the 33 properties that are considered non-compliant, have any of them been fined, or just the one?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, many of the properties that are still in a case of non-compliance would have been fined historically, but it takes several months, even years, to come into compliance, as compliance requires approval from many different agencies, including council, including the ALC. So it's a multi-month process, but they're still reflected as being non-compliant until they receive all the necessary permits from the city and the ALC as well.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get an idea of, so if you did 15 stop work orders, it doesn't say if that was just the one property or if it's 15 different properties. So I think it would be helpful just to know, is there a way you could come back with a memo at some point, just with a sum up of how many different properties were newly investigated each month and how many of them are being fined? Just because we don't want to come into the situation we were just in last month where someone comes forward with an application and hadn't been issued a ticket.
Typically, the soil activity through the chair to Councillor Galanders is, for example, on CS 38, new activities reflected there, including new enforcement actions. So one can go back and check all of the prior months of reports. The new activity on the enforcement front is reflected in that section under soil activity. And staff can report back on a breakdown of the particular non-compliant properties.
Okay, thank you, that's very helpful.
Councillor Day?
Thank you very much. On page CS 37, it states that there was a 37% increase in short-term rental violations. Is that due to having an extra, I think we have an extra 1 or 2 people working that?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, it certainly helps having an extra person in terms of writing tickets and investigating. This is reflective of calls for service, and really the driver there is the lifting of travel restrictions in October by the federal government, and that has opened up short-term rental, illegal short-term rental activity across the board, across the Lower Mainland. And you'll see a commensurate uptick in enforcement activity. I should also add there are 2 positions now currently in bylaws who are dedicated to short-term rentals, and they've been quite busy. So you will see additional activity being reflected in subsequent reports.
Nice. I read the story in the Richmond News about the gentleman who was renting his property, and subsequently it ended up becoming a short-term rental, which he did not realize until, it was too late. Do we, excuse me, do we provide landlords with a kind of like a tool chest of how to watch out for this sort of illegal behavior?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, that's a great idea in terms of we're looking at how we proactively push out some of this messaging for prevention, and we can take that under consideration and work with corporate communications to put out sort of a how-to, what to look for.
Yeah, I think because the information that you have is very valuable, I'm sure, for the average landlord who doesn't want to, have a problem. And then I'm wondering if we can put together a bit of an info sheet or whatever it is, share that with the Rentalsman Board. What's it called? The Residential Tenancy Branch, I believe it's called. Because every jurisdiction is different. What's illegal in Richmond is maybe not illegal in Surrey. And I would think that as a board, they'd be able to better educate landlords so they'll be able to follow the rules in the city that their rental property is in. I also saw on the same page 37 that homeless encampments were up 20%. Is that a spin-off from Vancouver, or is it just because so many people have lost their rental homes?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, I'm not sure of the causality. We have seen an increase, and it is something that I do know is experienced by our colleagues and peers across the Lower Mainland. But I'm not, I don't feel confident pinning down what specific reason it is, whether it is overflow. It is a community that is on the move, so it's difficult to say where they originated.
I guess that's where those mental health workers who really come in handy. Thank you for your help.
Councillor Hobbs?
Thank you, and through the chair, Councillor Day just touched on the two things I was going to mention, but the remaining question is, what's the compliance and resolution for those two issues that you just discussed? Are you seeing positive results or repeat offenders? How's that working out?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, this is in reference to homeless activity.
The encampments and short-term rentals.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, and the issue of homeless encampments, in general, the compliance is it's mixed in terms of, in recent activity, we've seen some creative solutions where housing has been able to be identified, both within the city and in other jurisdictions as well. But it depends on the nature of the encampment. It depends on the nature of whether the person who's the subject in the investigation or a subject of outreach is amenable to working towards solutions. In most cases, that's the case, and staff adopt that approach of first seeking compliance through voluntary compliance and working with our other partner agencies. In the case of the short-term rentals, many of our files originate from the public. Many of our files originate from strata councils, and it can be quite effective. We do see a fair degree of compliance, a very high degree of compliance, I should say, with short-term rentals. That being said, there is repeat activity as well. There is recidivism, but I would say it's in the minority of cases.
Well, that's good, though. Good solutions and compliance and helping people, so that's a good result. Thanks.
Thank you. We have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? Thank you. Richmond Fire Rescue Monthly Activity Report. Chief?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I have nothing further to add to my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Heed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief, relating to the average time on scene in December 2022 for emergency response crews, 37 minutes. Is that inclusive of motor vehicle incidents, or is that separate from that? Are we talking about fire-related calls or alarms?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, that's inclusive of all of our calls for service, including fire calls, MVAs, and medical calls.
And I know that the chief is sitting here, and we often got criticized, especially under Councillor Hobbs, traffic people would never be at the accident scene to relieve the fire department in Vancouver, but do we have any concerns here? I've noticed a few accidents I've driven by. Your fire personnel are there directing traffic, a fair amount, and the way you park your trucks now, I guess, is to protect the scene. Do you find prolonged delays before you're able to get the police response?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, we have not noticed delays for the RCMP attendants. You're correct in your observations that we do purposely park our large apparatus to protect the scene, especially those people that are working on patients or with people involved. And all of our crews are trained in traffic management as well. And so while we're attending the scene and the RCMP are doing their work, we can control traffic around the scene for a short period of time until such time as we leave the scene.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Day?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you for the report. On page CS 51, it mentions that there was a 30% increase in medical calls 2022 over 2021. Is that primarily due to fire rescue being allowed to attend medical calls after the restrictions of COVID were lifted?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, yes, that's correct. The limitations on us as first responders are further being lifted post-pandemic, so you're seeing those rates rise to pre-pandemic levels.
Good, so no alarm bells there. Okay.
Not yet, no.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Hobbs?
Thank you, and through the chair, just a question, a couple of comments. First, just with the public outreach, I happened to notice that I think it says 1,100 residents and students have gone through the program. I think that's just 1 month, it says. So I just wanted to comment that that's a very good kind of effective tool and introduction for a lot of people into the community. And so is that I haven't noticed it before, is that an average month? That seems like a lot for 1 month. And how long has that been going on for?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, that's a good observation as well. The outreach engagements differ from month to month depending on the opportunities available, and so our outreach team will take advantage of other community events that are happening, national events that bring attention. If there are no events, we will create our own, but it also depends on the workload and the capacity of that team as well. So this was a good month for engagement.
Yeah, I've seen them in action. They're good. I would have thought December would have been a low month, but now just one other comment I just wanted to make on your charts on page 52 in our report, the 10-year average. I do like that. That's a very good way of just demonstrating what the trend is over time and whether there's an issue or not. So keep that up. And the last question is just the FOI requests on page 53. Now I remember police getting lots of FOI requests for different reasons, but what are yours mostly to do with? Are they insurance claims, or why would you be getting that many?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, being the recipient of the request through the city, I'm not at liberty to know who's requesting it.
Okay.
My observations are that we do field many requests every month for an FOI request, and those calls for service typically involve insurers.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Councillor Wolf?
Thank you. Just two question areas through the chair to Fire Chief. First one, I've heard from a number of residents now that they're concerned with EV, electric bikes, level 2 chargers in houses, and vehicles that are battery electric, and they come in get in accidents. There was just one a couple weeks ago, Garden City Road in Aublin, and it created quite a scene and closed area down and fire hazards and such. Have you noticed in this past year, as there's been more of all those electric modes and the increase, have we seen more fires? Has there been more? I know hazmat is up 50%, 50 plus 50 on our chart on 46, but I think that mostly attributes to gas-related hazardous material. So have you seen any trends?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we have not seen trends with respect to fires from an EV battery or an EV charger here in the city. We're very fortunate. Yes, the motor vehicle incident that was at Garden City in Aublin was significant, and due to the area that the damage covered, there was more time needed to shut the road down in order to clean up and make the area safe for passersby. So it wasn't a typical motor vehicle accident. It was significant.
Okay, great, thank you. My second question comes through abandoned houses and the hazard that they present. So there is on your highlight, there's one of the significant events, the residential fire on Moffett Road. But I think that is very similar to many others that I'm familiar in East Richmond, on Audlin Road or Alexandra Road. Growing up, there's been houses that have been stripped of all their wire and heating. They were meant to be demolished, but it became a homeless encampment, or people lighting things to have fires inside those buildings, and the whole buildings have combusted, lives have been lost. What's the role of the fire department in advocating for some of those buildings to be brought down?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, under the Fire and Life Safety Bylaw, I as the fire chief have the authority to declare a public hazard or a fire safety hazard, and my staff will attend and inspect, and if it's necessary, we can issue an order for a demolition. That's exceptionally rare. There are several mitigating levels that can prevent a fire hazard or a public hazard from becoming more of a problem prior to demolition, and boarding up a vacant or an abandoned property is certainly one of those. And the boarding up process that we have established here in Richmond is very healthy, very significant, and does preclude fires from occurring at a large scale. Typically, during development opportunities, developers are very aware of those regulations and the process, and that usually is not a problem. Often it's other people who aren't familiar with the development process who are making those decisions with leaving the property vacant and open for the potential for fires.
Yeah, so just a follow-up comment then. There's, on the road I grew up on, Audlin Road, right at the corner of Garden City, there's two houses that have been abandoned for well over 5 years. There's times where it's boarded up and other times it's not. The fence is up sometimes, it falls down during the snow, and no one picks it up, no one plows snow in front of these properties. But it seems like they're waiting for them to be burned down. Like, that's almost how the residents on that road expect the end of the house is it's going to get torched, or it's going to die with people in it who are not residents of the house. So again, and to see that there's another one that comes up, I don't know. You're saying that it's working well, but I know there's lots of residents who are concerned at how long buildings stand and the risk that it poses to communities. So.
Well, through the chair, Councillor, I appreciate the heads up, and I'll have staff go and attend tomorrow and take a look on Audlin for sure. We work in partnership with the RCMP and bylaws and our own staff who inform us when they recognize vacant or abandoned properties, and we react immediately when we see that. So thank you.
We have a recommendation.
So moved. So moved.
All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Fire chief briefing.
Update today, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
RCMP monthly activity report, December 2022, and year in review. Chief Superintendent Dave Chohan.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, councillors. I don't have anything to add to the report, but be happy to take any questions.
Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. A lot of good things, and keep up the good work. It's come to my attention, and through social media, the number of, we won't call them breaking and enterings, but violations in mailboxes, in packages. And I guess I have a question to you. How often, because it's not on the report, how often would Mary Jones or Joe Jones phone into the RCMP saying, there's a guy that's been ruffling through my mailbox and a strange guy in my street, could you come and check him out? Do you get that kind of call?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty. We do get calls from the public in relation to theft from mailboxes. I don't have specific information pertaining to every individual person calling, but when we do have those reports, an investigation is generated, and whether it's a frontline police who will respond or we'll have our property crime unit take care of those files.
I get, and we're on the same page, so don't take this the wrong way. I've had at least 6 in the last week or 10 days. And a beautiful picture of a man or woman on this, reaching in the mailbox, not seeing anything take because of the video. And I said, phone the RCMP. You've got the evidence of the guy that swiped your mail. They do nothing. So I guess that leads my next question, because I think we need to have something to the public. It's happening way too often. Amazon just drops the package at the front. I've had it, et cetera, no ringing the doorbell or anything like that. So I guess it's our responsibility to say to the public, if you've got the goods on it, again, I don't know, my lawyer here will tell us how that'll hold up in court, but if I got you taking it out and stuffing it in your jacket and walking down the end of the driveway, I might have some evidence, right? So my other question is, where are the block watch captains in this? And who's reporting it to the block watch? Is our systems working? You know, because I phone, or I go right out to the driveway and I look right in the window, and before you know it, the guy's left. You know, maybe I'm a little too brave or too stupid, one or the other. But I guess that's something, and I just see it now and again, and it almost seems like they're helpless on what to do. So I'm just wondering if we can, to staff or how we do that, to create together some awareness that when you see a strange person, it doesn't hurt to make a phone call to the RCMP.
If I may, through the chair to Councillor McNulty, those are excellent points. And with respect to this specific incident, theft from mail, I can say that we do have a suspect identified, so the investigation is progressing well. And when it comes to independent evidence, whether it's a CCTV or somebody's phone recording, that is one of the best pieces of evidence that we can have. So I always encourage the members of the public to not only, first of all, contact and report those thefts to us, and if there's any evidence that may result in the identification, ultimately support prosecution, that is always welcomed. And as the Blockwatch program is concerned, or reporting from Blockwatch captains or the participants, I can't comment specifically,
No, I don't.
but I do know that that is something very near and dear to Councillor Day as well. And our Blockwatch coordinators are working diligently to make sure that the program is on a tip-top shape, and there are still recruiting efforts going on to encourage more people to join. But one of the issues that we are facing with the Blockwatch program is that a number of individuals, captains, they are very senior citizens, or some have expired, they have passed away, some have moved on, some have left their homes and they have gone into condos and townhomes. So there's challenges there, but our Blockwatch coordinators are, as I stated, working diligently in their recruiting efforts to ensure that we have more and more people signed up, so we have more eyes and ears out there in helping us with our crime-fighting
It's
initiatives.
just one I wanted to make awareness, because people put on this, and we have Seafair Watch, Neighborhood Watch, you know, there are all kinds of, we got Hamilton Watch, for example. Okay, well, if you've got somebody on it, do something about it, to let it go when you've got, that's the only thing I'm being a cheerleader on this one, and we all have to work together, and it'll cut down crime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Day?
Madam Chair, building on what Councillor McNulty has just said, as we know, often small crimes eventually turn into bigger crimes. So we want to nip these things in the bud if we can. So I noticed on CS 60 that between November and December, that commercial break-ins had a 40% increase, and between November and December, break-ins residential were up 63%. So this seems like an excellent opportunity to get the word out about Block Watch. And what I love is every month you guys send to council, I'm not sure where else it goes, that newsletter. And in that the RCMP newsletter is all kinds of helpful tips, things that you can do, like leaving the light on, that can make such a difference to protect you and your property. And I actually scan that every month, and then whenever I go to a liaison meeting with West Richmond Community Center or Seniors Advisory Committee or whoever, I make sure that every member gets a copy of that newsletter in the hope that they'll pass it on. So I wonder if, given these numbers and, examples such as Councillor McNulty pointed out, if this wouldn't be a time to do a bit of a blitz, maybe a press release, ads in the newspaper, and create more awareness about the Block Watch program and these simple things that we can do. So I just encourage you to consider that, because it just seems like the opportunity is now.
Thank you for that, through the chair to Councillor Day. Whenever I have the opportunity to promote something or to provide any information or knowledge to the public, and we always do that, and those are the ongoing discussions that I have with my teams, and there are ongoing efforts as we speak in promoting Block Watch, and along those lines, fraud prevention and many other things that are ongoing. So excellent point, thank you for that, and we're working on it right now.
And if we, as councillors, can help in any way, such as, if we need to, put more money into the education program, then just let us know, or maybe a more awareness on the city website, or posters up in community centers. I mean, if we all work together, it's amazing what we can accomplish. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, through the chair to Councillor Day. Anything helps, and I appreciate your offer.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Heed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make a comment in general based on the study, and certainly this isn't reflective on our police of jurisdiction here. I think we depend on Block Watch way too much to get the information out, and I have to agree with the chief. What they can do, what he can do, what his personnel, whether it's his command staff or others, to get the message out on what we need to do in this is going to be it. Block Watch, if you look at some of the studies that have been done on Block Watch, you can see it's a feel-good type program, not necessarily a very productive. So I think we have to look at other ways. I know the chief is doing that, trying to get his people out and about to talk to the community. So we're going to have to find some other communication link to do it, because you're right, the people that are interested have died off, or they've gone elsewhere and moved elsewhere. So those are some things. Now, the comment I want to make to the chief here is, as Councillor Day alluded to, when we start to see and I probably know your answer here already, a 63% increase in residential burglaries and a 40% increase in commercial burglaries over a 1 month period. Obviously, we've got a prolific offender, or a group of prolific offenders out there, and I'm making an assumption that's high on your property crime team's list.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Heath, we do have our list of repeat or prolific offenders, and we also have our list of priority offenders. And it can only take one or two of these individuals to cause a spike in these crimes. These reports, these numbers reflect the incidents for the month of December, and obviously with the country going through tough economic times as well, and this being the month of December, more people out and about, and it presented a lot of opportunities as well for the thieves to commit break and enters at residences as well as commercial areas. But our teams are working on it, and you're bang on with your point. It is usually a repeat or prolific offender who are responsible for that. And I have seen in the last 7 months, when we do take one of these repeat offenders through the court system, and they're incarcerated for a period of 6 months or 9 months, and we see a sharp decline in those numbers. So we're actively working on these targets as we speak.
Thank you. And one other question, this relates to sexual offense. I was Interested to see that suspects have been identified, 71% of the incidents reported in the month period. Are these known offenders, stranger attacks, or in essence, what are they?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, we rarely have occurrences of stranger sex assaults here in Richmond. Most of these incidents do involve people who are known to each other, and a lot of them are domestic. It could be husband, wife, it could be family, it could be children, and could be co-workers or people who are known to each other. So it's not an issue of strangers, but it's usually people who are known to each other.
Thank you. One last question, if I may, Madam Chair. This relates to the statistics on groups targeted in hate crimes in 2022. Thank you very much for that breakdown. This is obviously where you've gone through a process of defining it and, having more or less the fact that this has actually happened to the extent. I was a little surprised on the numbers being low, but obviously through your investigative techniques, you've determined that these are the hate crimes related to these specific racialized groups.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, obviously, we experienced a rise in hate crime and hate-related incidents during COVID times. But as you note, in last year, both of those, especially in hate crimes, it had came down from 21 to 8 incidents. That is as a result of the RCMP and the city taking a hard stance that racism and hate has no place in Richmond. We also have created a diversity and inclusion unit, and our members are out there in the public being engaged and promoting harmony and diversity. And as far as my position is concerned, if there are any incidents of hate crime, we will aggressively pursue them. And we have seen some positive results recently where individuals were convicted. So we will continue to investigate those crimes, and we'll hold those individuals accountable who perpetrate these type of hateful incidents on others.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councillor Hobbs?
Thank you, and through the chair. Well, thanks, Chief, for the report. Lots of good information there. Just commenting on the block watch issue too. I think one of the challenges might be in Richmond with the development and the high density that we have, especially along the Canada line and even around the Knight Street Bridge where you have corridors. That is where a lot of our criminal activity takes place in terms of property crime. So I think one of the strategies will have to address what was a traditional concept of block watch versus what the high density areas with a lot of new people to Richmond moving in. It might have to be a different take. I just want to comment on shoplifting. It's mentioned on page 59 and also I think on page 61. But I'm really happy to see some arrests being made in that. You look around North America and other cities in Canada as well, and shoplifting is almost becoming a non-offense for some jurisdictions, and it's really tough on businesses. It can become violent, and we do see it, so there wasn't a question there. I'm just really glad to see that you have made some arrests on that and working with partners. That's excellent, so thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, if I just may add a comment to that. Shoplifting, it may not seem serious, but it is a serious offense. It impacts on businesses, it traumatizes people who work there. With us, we always look at joint force operations, whether it be with transit police or with our bylaw partners or other partners, and we will continue to do that, and we'll continue to target these shoplifters.
Yeah, that's good, because as you know, shoplifting, it's not the only thing criminals are involved with, right? So it often leads to other things. I just wanted to comment on the mental health and the time delay. I think December is often a bad month for that. Staffing is low for all organizations. ERs are super busy as they were this year. So it's tough to see it go up, but until some protocols change with working partners, your members are obligated to stay there, so.
Thank you. And through Councillor, through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, if I may add to that, in speaking with my staff who work with Fox City and our mental health clients, we do often get high priority when these clients are at the hospital due to the urgency of these calls. And what has been reported to me, I know that the wait times always becomes, it is a concern. But when our officers do take mental health clients to the hospital, our wait times are normally close to half than of what the other queues are. So we do get that attention, but there are certain incidents, and it doesn't happen that frequently, just based on those certain anomalies, certain exceptions where we may have very long wait times, but otherwise it's a prompt attention that we do get.
That's good to hear. Just a couple other comments through the chair. And the sex offenses was just commented on, and the other aspect to it is that it might be helpful because there's, as you know, different levels to sex offense. So maybe a bit more detailed breakdown might be helpful in terms of level 1, level 2, level 3, because that's a trigger to know if it's something you should be concerned about in addition to known suspects. Not that any sex offense, as we all know, they're all serious, but there are different levels. So I don't know if that's something you guys could look at in your analysis, but I know you have the information, so.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, we can certainly look at that as well.
Yeah, might stem a few questions.
Sure.
And on the hate crime issue, I just wanted to acknowledge what you've already said, is that I think some of the progress has to be given to both the RCMP, the city, as well as some of the NGOs that we have working in the city. There's been a lot of work done on it, and I think that we have to acknowledge that there's been a concerted effort on it, and we're seeing some positive results, and that's good, and hopefully that will keep up. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the report. And I particularly found it interesting that we had 7 groups targeted, black groups targeted in hate crimes last year. When our census numbers are showing like less than 1,500 black people in Richmond, it's shocking that they're basically second in line of who's being treated to hate crimes and hate incidences. So thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you, Chair. If I may just add that it was important for me to...
We've lost our mics. Not this mic.
Thank you. Sorry, Madam Chair. It was important for me to provide that information to the council and to our citizens to show the type of hate crimes that we experience here. Even single incident, whether it's a hate-related incident or it's a hate crime, it's one too many. And we will continue our work through our diversity and inclusion branch, working with the city and working with other groups, and continue to bring those numbers down.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a recommendation.
Recommendation.
Second, all in favor? Thank you. Do you have anything to add to the briefing? I know we took the joint road safety blitz off, but I did also notice that there was a bit of a blitz happening on Steveston Highway this morning, so congratulations for all the hard work you're doing.
Yes, thank you. Those road safety initiatives are ongoing. And if I may just add to remarks that Councillor Wolf had made earlier with the accident, we are pursuing Motor Vehicle Act and Motor Vehicle Regulation charges against the driver who has refused to cooperate with the police. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other managers' reports? Okay, move adjournment. Okay, now we're going to move into